Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the Extreme Z area for the Ginyu Force Saga. Now this Extreme Z area is for the free-to-play Ginyu Force units that you can get by farming the Ginyu Force special training events that we have open currently on Global. Originally, these events were out one day of the week, every week. So, for example, Recoome would be out on a Thursday, etc., etc. Now, of course, they've brought all the events out at once, so you can farm all of them quite easily. I do have a guide about how to farm the Ginyu Force, which I'll put in the description below, but essentially you just need to run it a couple times to receive the medals, farm the orbs, and to get copies of the unit. Of course, however, you do also need to farm the Team Bardock, but we'll get back to that later in a bit more detail. But essentially you are going to need the Team Bardock to be able to complete the Extreme Z area for the Ginyu Force, which is a little bit weird, and I'm not exactly certain why they did this. I mean, I know why they did this, because they're going to want you to have both free-to-play teams in future if you need to easy a Team Bardock, but it's just a weird way of going about it, because there's no real semblance between the two, barring the fact that they're, well, a team. But, like you can see here, the restricted character list for both stages features Team Bardock units. The friend unit also is always a Team Bardock unit as well, and the character list for the event is Team Bardock units. The physical Ginyu and the tech Ginyu can be bought from the Ultimate Clash shop, but you also can get a copy of tech Ginyu from finishing the event. So once you have a copy of each Ginyu Force member, the game will give you a copy of the tech Captain Ginyu. As you can see here, the usual rules apply. Path on the left will drop bronze medals, path on the right will drop silver, path on the left for stage 2 will drop gold, and path on the right for difficulty 2 will drop rainbow. You will need to collect 15 bronze medals, 42 silver medals, 30 gold medals, and 30 rainbow medals. Pretty straightforward procedure, the same as every other Extreme Z area that we've ever got. Guldo obviously gets quite an improvement, becoming a Planet Namek Saga lead. He also gains substantially more defense, he increases his debuff, he has a higher stun chance, and he also gains a certain amount of attack and defense based on other Ginyu Force members. Recoome also gains an accelerated version and an improved version of his original passive. So, that being said, let's get a look at the missions. So the missions are the standard ones for every Extreme Z area. Complete each stage up to 10 times. That will generally give you 1 stone, but will also give you some Zeni. Now we'll start with stage 1. Stage 1 will likely be the easiest, and I always suggest that you basically finish stage 1 and then move on to stage 2. So you fully farm the unit from stage 1 and then move on to stage 2. This way you're constantly improving the units that you can use in other events, or you can prevent the units from being damaged. Like, because you have to have Guldo in Guldo's event, you might as well keep upgrading them to make that event easier, basically is what I'm saying. As you can see from the unit selection screen, we can only choose a Fasha as a friend lead, because she is a low class warriors lead, and the Ginyu Force are not on low class warriors. You are going to have to use the low class warriors team, which means you're going to need to use Team Bardock. Now to get Team Bardock, you basically follow the exact same process as the Ginyu Force. Their events are also currently all open, so it's a pretty straightforward affair. Again, I have a video about them. I have put them in the description below if you require assistance, but you are going to need to use Team Bardock. Now the fortunate thing is that the Extreme Z area stages themselves are incredibly easy, so you don't really have to focus on too much there. The best thing about the Guldo EZA as well is that you have the Team Bardock LR, which is strong against tech type, and you also have the Fasha unit, which is strong against tech type. So ultimately, you actually have 3 in-type units, and you don't need to rock any AGL units whatsoever, so it makes the event a little bit easier. So generally here, what I always suggest is that you start from each side. So you go left, then right, then left, then right, then left, then right. The reason you alternate is because should you pick up a question mark, which can appear on the stage in the little middle tab, you will get a bonus bunch of medals. Now if you've only been picking from the left hand side and you pick the question mark up, then you are going to have a sad time if that question mark is for one type of medal. So ideally you want to keep rotating and switching, because that's really going to help you in terms of preventing any excess farm or any wasted bonuses. That being said, otherwise everything else is relatively simple and straightforward. The stages themselves are really not too hard at all. If you have the Team Bardock units, if you've done that farm, then that's literally the hardest part out the way. Like I suggest, farm the Team Bardock units first, and then farm the appropriate Ginyu Force member for each stage if you haven't done it before. If you have done both farms, then you are going to have a much better time. Of course, if you haven't done both farms, then you need to do both. If you have done one farm, then you're going to have to do the other. So unfortunately, there is a little bit of grinding involved for those of you who haven't been keeping up. So for new players, plenty of stuff to do. For veteran players, you know, just the easy A area, which is great. And for those who are stuck in between, you're probably going to have to pick up the slack where you left it off. But that's okay. Like I said, everything's pretty straightforward. A suitable bonus character to use is the Great Ape Bardock. He's really helpful. I find him to be a little bit better than the AGL Tora that can be, not Tora, the AGL guy, I forget his name now, but I do find this Bardock to be a bit more useful. So if you have him as well, which you need for the Prime Battle Easy A's that are up, you can use him as well. So that is somewhat of a bonus, but you don't have to use him. You can just use the standard AGL unit and everything will be fine. You can stun and seal and attack lower both Recoome and Guldo in both difficulties. So please remember that you can stun and seal and lower their attack and defense in both difficulties. It makes the fights way easier if you just seal them up with Bardock, and then you are able to take them out from there. It's going to substantially reduce the amount of time that you spend in the stages. It's going to reduce any chance of failure, basically, and it's going to allow you to completely improve your farming rate. Like I said before, it's going to require 6 runs on each difficulty if you do not get a bonus. So for stage 1, you're going to have to run the first difficulty 6 times, then you're going to have to run the second difficulty 6 times. That is because you need to go to each side 3 times. Again, you need 15 bronze medals, 42 silver, 30 gold, and 30 rainbow. But that's going to be it for the first difficulty. So what we're going to do is we are going to skip ahead in time, and we are going to take a look at how we get on after farming the first difficulty, and then we're going to try out the second difficulty stage and see how hard that one is. And then once we've shown that one, we'll do a brief recap, and then we'll come back to look at the units once awakened. Of course, through the power of editing, I have returned with my medals that I have farmed for both units, which you can see now. Something I'd like to point out is please don't be like me. Please actually just awaken your units. It may not seem like much, but it will give you some more HP. It will give you a little bit more defense on them, and since they are basically the floating liability on every single team, because they're the only units that do not follow under both leader skills, it's best that you awaken them to increase their baseline stats as quickly as possible. With both the silver and bronze medals, you can get them all the way up to level 130, and that's going to make a real difference. So like I suggest, please definitely add to both of those units. But that being said, we're going to take on the stage. Obviously, we are going to take it on pretty much exactly the same way we took on the first one. I've made some slight moderations to the team for no specific reason other than just to show you guys some different variations, but it pretty much follows the exact same concept. These stages are not really that much harder. You do have slightly more risk of dying, or you actually have a risk of dying, but the same principles always apply. Keep your Recoome / Guldo directly out of the firing line as much as you can. Limit the amount of type disadvantage units you take into the stage, and try and maximize the damage of the type advantaged units that you have in your team. As you can see, Tora took 90k there, which is half of our health pool, so they can hit pretty dang hard in this stage, but you can still lower their attack and defense, stun them, and seal them, so it's quite important that you keep that in mind. As you can see here, we got good old Guldo lowering his attack and defense. Good job, Guldo. So it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, you follow the same procedures as the first difficulty, and you shouldn't have too many problems. Again, try and prioritize things like sealing with Bardock, stunning, and those sorts of utilities, because that's really going to help you in mitigating damage and just keeping things ticking over at a nice pace. Bardock has damage reduction when he's on a team with low class warriors, so he's more than happy to tank, and you can use pretty much any unit but Tora and, well, yeah, pretty much just Tora and the Ginyu Force unit that you're taking along with, and pretty much everything else can tank decently on these stages. So don't be too concerned or anything like that. You can easily take on the stage. You also don't need the second copy of Team Bardock, which you can get from the Trial of a New Horizons event. You can just come in here with a single copy of Bardock and you will be fine. So don't worry, you don't have to go and farm that event just yet. You can jump straight into the Extreme Z area once you have farmed a single copy of the Team Bardock units and of course the Ginyu Force units. So feel free to go ahead with that, but of course I do suggest that you prepare for as much as you possibly can. Obviously that was the Guldo mission, so now we'll just quickly jump across to the Recoome mission and we'll give it a try there. The same principles apply as always. Try and avoid Recoome taking any damage and minimize the type disadvantage units. So drop Farsha out for another unit and just basically also keep the Team Bardock. Well, Team Bardock is actually okay at tanking. They take like a little bit of damage, but they're not going to get you killed. So it's really not too much of an issue. But same thing, just make sure that you seal them up or stun them as soon as you can. Keep everything under control and you should be fine. As you can see there's no immunity to stunning or sealing or anything. Don't know if they'll change this later on, but pretty much it makes it quite easy now to keep everything in control with the Team Bardock unit. So yeah, definitely way easier like this. That being said, the easier area grind was pretty smooth. It wasn't too much of an issue, didn't fail once, everything went smoothly. So yeah, honestly not too unhappy with how they've set this up. I like that they've done it bit part. I think they knew that a lot of players wouldn't have either the Team Bardock units, or a lot of new players wouldn't have the Ginyu Force units, and this kind of allows people to do them one by one and focus on clearing out the other team and farming them, and not farming like 12 units at once. Basically they just have to farm Team Bardock, then can farm Guldo, then can farm Recoome, and I think overall that's just a better process. So yeah, but as you can see, we'll get our stone for this victory, and yeah, everything was pretty damn simple. At this point you should roughly have finished at least attempting the stage 5 times or so, unless you've gotten like mega lucky with all of your bonus questions. And yeah, we'll use the power of editing to fast forward again to when I finished farming all of the medals. And of course, through the power of editing, we are now at that point. So yeah, pretty damn cool. Basically, we finished farming all the medals. You can see, because we finished all the missions, a handsome 2 stones added into our bank account there for the summons. Fantastic. Now, the real thing that I want to highlight here is 2 things, okay? So we're first going to do a brief recap. So to unlock the Ginyu Force event, you first have to complete each stage of the Ginyu Force training. So you have to finish each stage of the Ginyu Force training. So you're going to have to go to the story, you're going to have to go down to the Ginyu Force training, and you're going to have to finish each stage. So even though you may only be farming Guldo or Recoome, you have to at least attempt and complete each stage of the Ginyu Force special training events so that you can unlock the Ginyu Force EZA. Once you have done that, the Ginyu Force EZA will unlock in the challenge tab. Of course, like I said, the thing is you're not going to be able to complete the Ginyu Force EZA if you do not farm the Team Bardock units. So the Team Bardock units can be found under the story event. You can find them here, and you can farm them like the Ginyu Force. The medals for them and the Ginyu Force can be picked up from the special missions tab, and that will give you the medals that you need for the units. You farm them the same way. I have guides on both of them in the videos down below. Once you are done farming the Team Bardock and you have farmed the appropriate Ginyu Force member of your choice, be it Guldo or Recoome or both, you can then come to the Extreme Z area and attempt the stages. Obviously, I suggest starting with stage 1, finishing stage 1, and then moving on to stage 2 and finishing stage 2. Once you've done that, you should have enough medals. Remember, 15 bronze, 42 silver, 30 gold, and 30 rainbow, and you'll be able to complete the final awakening stage. In doing so, their passives and leader skills will be tremendously augmented, although I really hope they bring out a mission later on to get some stickers for these guys, because they would look pretty cool with some stickers, and I think it would be nice to kind of complete the whole trek. You know, EZA them, sticker them, have them look at least really cool. So yeah, but then obviously you can go and awaken your Guldo and your Recoome. Like I suggest, rather awaken each one to max. So finish Guldo and then go and do Recoome stage and finish Recoome. It just makes life easier, but you don't have to. You can do it in whatever order you see fit. Obviously, once you've awakened them, you're probably going to realize, hey, their SAs are only 10 out of 15. How do I raise their SA to max? Now, raising their SA to max usually would require us to produce a dupe of the unit that is at SA 5. Now the problem with the Ginyu Force is you cannot raise a dupe of the unit to SA 5. So what you're going to have to do is the easiest way, or the way the game has planned, is that you go and you complete the new stage of a Trial Towards New Horizons Awakened Power, which is the stage that drops gear for the Ginyu Force and Team Bardock, and you complete the new second stage of the event 20 times. By completing that event 20 times, you will receive the mission, which will give you 5 type Kais of each. Notice how there are exactly 5, so that you can raise their SA to 15. Once you have those Kais, you can go back and train your units, like Recoome and Guldo, and raise their SA to 15. But that's pretty much it. It's all pretty straightforward from there. So once you have completed that, you have finished the entire circle of the units and their SAs will change. But that's pretty much going to be it from me, guys. The only real thing left to tell you guys is when the next Ginyu Force EZAs will release. So the Ginyu Force EZAs will release in 2 weeks' time. You can tell the exact date from the event itself. It basically says so in the information screen. But the stage, the Extreme Z area, will be receiving new stages on the 8th of September and the 22nd of September. So by then you will be able to awaken further Ginyu Force units. But that's going to be it from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. But until then, bye!